Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Strange Brews. And today, we, as promised, have a very special guest with us, the mistress of Conspicuous Snoop herself, Amie Burton. Thank you
Hello.
so much for coming on the show. We were just talking before we started about how you were kind of the person that introduced or that spammed on Twitter about Snoop lines enough that we both got interested. Um, so why don't we just get right into it, Amie? What do you love about Conspicuous Snoop, and what are some of your favorite combos with it?
I think my favorite thing about Snoop is that it's both a one card combo and also a puzzle piece. Um, and by that I mean you can win through three ways. Um, Hulk, I can't remember the first word in that. Is it
Uh,
Protean?
Protean Hulk.
Yeah, Protean Hulk, which will grab your Snoop, your Bogart Harbinger, and your Torch Courier to establish a Snoop line. You can win through Goblin Recruiter, which as a one card combo puts the combo just on top of your library, and then you can win with Doomsday. But beyond the one card combos, there's other unique ways you can set up a Snoop combo with a Snoop on board with things like Necropotence or Bolas the Citadel or the plethora of search your library, put the card on top cards.
Mm.
So which is why I think I'm running all five in my colors in my own Snoop list.
Oh, I see. Even like a Sylvan Tutor.
Sylvan Tutor and Scheming Symmetry, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
so Snoop is kind of as I found because I actually just added a Snoop line to my Duretti list as kind of a backup win condition. That also kind of worked with some of my other tutors and things I was already running. But Snoop kind of ranges from red to red black green, like plus, like it fits into a lot of different color combinations. What are some of your favorite decks to play Snoop lines in?
Well, I think that mono red and red black X are the best ways to play it. Just having access to Goblin Recruiter or Doomsday are probably the best ways to win with it. But if you play a deck like Winota or the Rourke Thar Stacks deck, you can run the Snoop pieces as just regular creatures that don't hurt you like they would like. The biggest issue with Snoop is if you draw Snoop pieces that you need on top of your library. But if you have Winota, you can play your Mog Fanatic and get Mog Fanatic or Winota triggers. Or if you play Rorik Thar, that deck is just shitting creatures out. So it's not exactly like they care that much if the combo gets disrupted. But I
Yeah.
think that Mono Red and Red Black X, where you get Goblin Recruiter and Doomsday, are the best ways to run the deck.
Yeah. Funnily enough, Winota and Rookthar are both the two main decks I have played Snoop lines in. So when you said that, I'm like, oh, I know those decks. I played those. Yeah. Yeah. All the Goblin like Snoop stuff, like you said, works super well in Winota. Especially in Winota, my favorite way to get it is with the human Mog Catcher, because you
Mod Catcher is so cool.
oh yeah, you just flip it as a human off the top, and then in the next turn you just uh, being able to basically you can pay. For anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's a human cost 4 mana, but usually flip it off the top with Winota, and you can pay 3 colorless, and you can tap it and just search your library for a goblin and put it onto the battlefield. Now, normally this is very, very slow, but of course, Winota, you get to flip things off the top. So that's just an incredibly fun, incredibly fun way to win. I've played that deck a ton.
Awesome. So, Amy, there are many ways to make a Snoop pile. Can you walk us through just a couple quick examples, maybe your favorite way to pile up a Snoop?
Yeah, I think that my favorite would be for somebody who plays Turbo Nas, it's uh Skirk Prospector Torch Courier, Kiki Jiki, and Mod Fanatic. Which for most people they don't think about the Skirk Prospector, but a Skirk gives you this extra resiliency, where if they remove your Kiki Jiki, or they make you shuffle your library, or they remove your Goblin Recruiter, whatever you're tutoring for, and you can't shuffle away your Kiki to find Mogfag, you can then sacrifice 5 Snoops to play Kiki Jiki, and then Mogfag's just right there.
That's really cool,
That's one of those niche situations that you run into once or twice, and you're like, I can just not lose to this anymore. So you just slot in an extra goblin, which is making mana, which is what the deck wants to do. And you get that just extra little bit of resiliency. There's other ways to build Snoop. We were talking before the show about Bogart Harbinger, which is requires you to have Snoop on board already, but you search for Kiki Jiki, you copy Snoop a bunch of times, then you copy Harbinger, and then you find Mod Fanatic. And if you're not doing Turbo Nas, which I'm not sure what situation to be in where you're not playing Nas, you can replace Mod Fanatic with Sling Game Lieutenant, which has an extra upside if you have to cast it as a creature. Unfortunately, I forget its name. Is it Goblin Sharpshooter?
You're talking about the one that like taps to shoot something, and then if something dies, you untap it.
Yeah, that unfortunately does not work with Snoop, or at least it doesn't work with extra steps. However, I think it's still also a very good card.
Oh yeah, Goblin Sharpshooter is. Yeah, I love that card. It's great. It's really fun.
I actually took down a local. Well, I took down round 1 of a local cEDH tournament by using the Goblin Sharpshooter Splinter Twin line, which I actually didn't know existed until about 3 days before the tournament. And Nathan Jones and I were trying to brew. It was a Blood Pod deck, but it was we were trying to tune it so that, like, specifically to beat Protean Hulk, because Flash Hulk was still a thing. Ooh. So like Hushwing Griff, Hushbringer, like I was playing every single one of those effects that I could. But we were trying to figure out like ways to like nest combos within other combos and not have to sacrifice slots for non-redundant pieces. You know, optimize like the way you normally do. And he said something Splinter Twin and Goblin Sharpshooter, and I was like, hang on, what? Like, I had never even considered, and that line is like kind of confusing to wrap, at least for me, to wrap my head around.
You're not alone.
Yeah, it's like you have to have this, but also you have to do this now, and I actually won it off of Animate Deading a Goblin Sharpshooter, and then casting Splinter Twin onto it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not fully aware of how the Goblin Sharpshooter combo works, because I thought it worked with Kiki Jiki, but it doesn't.
No, it has to. The creature itself has to have the ability to tap and make a
untap,
copy of it. Yeah.
Yeah, basically you like create more copies of Sharpshooter, and then it like shoots itself, and then you have one that just untaps and shoots everyone else, and then another that shoots the other Sharpshooters.
But you have to have at least one other creature, like a X1 that you can kill with the first Sharpshooter
to start the chain.
To start the chain, and that's what I couldn't wrap my head around. Was I was trying to figure out like what board state I had to be in. Fortunately, I had like 3. I had like a Llanowar Elves, Finhorn Elves, and an Avacyn's Pilgrim out. So I was like, well, I probably have what I need here.
Oh yes, the time before Commander Legends when Mana Dorks were still viable.
Mana Dorks are still viable. They're just bad. You know what? Anything is viable. Sometimes it's just bad. You can quote me on that. I know this is a podcast for strange off-meta brews, but sometimes things are just bad, which is what Sean and I actually discovered when I was trying to push a Quain list, and he had to very gently explain to me that it was just bad.
What, letting your opponents draw cards is bad?
Well,
I was like, it's
the
cute,
idea was that you had like a 3 fairy or a Narset in play, so it didn't matter. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was
and I
like a
basically had to
cute thing.
break the idea that you would have to have not only Isochron Scepter and Dramatic Reversal, but then also a third combo piece in order to not. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So
And if letting people draw cards is bad, so you should tell Watsy that so we don't get more cards like Secret Rendezvous.
Oh my god.
is that the name of that white sorcery that everyone's crying about? You know what? It is the first white card in memory that just draws cards, okay?
Here's the funny thing. It would have been better if it said each player, because then at least you could run it like wheel decks and like do that. You probably still wouldn't.
Who was it that tweeted out? I don't want to like specifically date this podcast, but someone recently tweeted out a puzzle with like it was like someone cast that with Hull Breacher in play. Do you kill the Hull Breacher? Your only interaction is Lightning Bolt. Was that Braden?
That was Braden. And I think that everybody who voted that you kill the whole breacher is wrong.
Yeah, I saw your argument, and you actually convinced me that I was wrong. Because my initial thought was, well, kill the Hull Breacher because then you will have an ally against this opponent. I guess I was thinking too casually. I would justify my original response with the age-old saying of, well, it depends on the decks that are at the table. But you had a really interesting argument for it, and now I kind of believe the other way, so...
Well, some people don't like the way I play, which is doing the best thing I can to win and not doing the best to not lose. Because I feel like if 2 players are up 3 cards, that puts me at the worst position to win. Whereas if 1 player is up 3 cards and 3 mana, which is only 2 cards actually, I have a higher likelihood of getting back to my turn and winning through whatever. I don't know. You paid 3 white mana to draw 3 cards. I can't. It's never been seen before.
I was gonna say I don't think that is actually a card that will ever be relevant in competitive EDH discussions.
Oh, what, you mean the Heliod guy who hates it so much? You don't think he's gonna play it?
Hey. Was that...
A man's gotta do and a man's gotta
do. I mean, if you gotta draw on mono white, you don't have a ton of options. You can play like Ichor Wellspring, which is a card... Ichor Wellspring, which is a card that my Duretti Discord makes fun of me for still running.
That card used to be everywhere in this format.
Like, it's really good in Duretti as like I just need cards in my hand, and I can pitch this welding jar with no other artifacts in play to draw a card.
And the fact that it is sacrifice fodder for you, that also then draws a card.
Yeah.
Have it in your deck because.
Speaking of Duretti, I'm in love with that new Library of Alexandria that got spoiled today. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was just, every tweet that I could find with a picture of it, I was just commenting, Duretti, Duretti, Duretti.
The Mountain Goats got to spoil that, right?
I think so. I've been playing Duretti recently. I don't know if... just for context, I rotated off of Urza, and I was supposed to start playing Queen Marchesa, but I wanted to play Duretti since I hadn't in a while. And so that's why he's at the forefront of my mind right now. Yeah. Just to explain my insanity.
Renowned MTG content creator, the Mountain Goats.
Well, I mean...
I think they're finally going to hit it big. This is their big break in the fame. I truly think so.
I mean, we've hit 80 views on our first video, and we're super happy. So, hey, this be doing numbers. So, to kind of bring it back around to Snoop, I think we kind of covered a lot of the kind of more general stuff about Snoop. So what is... Oh, is there something else you wanted to add about Snoop before we like move on?
I don't think I specifically hit on the biggest weak point of Snoop, which, despite it being a one-card combo with quotation marks, it's not exactly a one-card combo, because if you draw pieces, it completely falls apart.
Itself. Yeah.
I remember running Thoughtseize and Doomsday decks to Thoughtseize pieces out of my hand because Doomsday can't grab them from your hand. So I know that pain all too well.
Oh my goodness, that's so cursed.
I think there's a little bit of leeway in the format we have now with Breach and LED and Doomsday itself, where if you have an LED and you have a Breach, you can discard your hand, but that's still... if you have a 7 where you're like, I can turn 1 this Goblin Recruiter and turn 2 win this game, and then you draw your 8th card and it's Mog Fanatic, you just can't do anything at that point. Which is the biggest weak point of Snoop. Which is why the deck mulligans really easily, because you know what hands you can't keep. But sometimes you get in some real grab situations where you're like, man, I can turn 1 this Adnaz with protection, but too bad I have this Mog Fanatic in my hand. Have to ship it.
Yeah. How do you find that Adnaz plays in a deck in a deck with so many combo pieces? Do you find yourself just kind of getting there because Adnaz, and just being able to either do some other line or find enough way to get to those line, or do you find yourself sometimes casting Ad Nauseam and then being like, oh well, oops, I drew the wrong things?
That is the biggest issue, and it's why I'm so greedy with Ad Naz, where it's like, well, we didn't hit LED or Breach, and we have all the combo pieces in hand, so if we want to win this turn, we have to keep going until we hit one of those cards, which, I'm notorious on stream for being at, like, 6th life and still having Pure in my deck and being like, just need to hit that Breach, and then...
Well, I mean, if you're going down to 6 for Adnaz and you haven't won the game yet, you just gotta keep going. I mean, it's like you said about, and I agree that this is something that I myself and I know a lot of other people probably could do better, is playing to win instead of playing to lose.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, making the play that whether it be using like foresight to say, hey, I'm gonna make a play now that seems maybe not the best to win soon, or making the risky play to go for it in the off chance that you win, where maybe you can't, especially if you can't play the grind game like a lot of other decks, which if you're playing a like Turbo Adnaz deck, generally you can't.
Okay, so now which category does Workshop into Trinisphere fall into? I feel like that's just a good play. I don't know about you guys.
Is that a turbo play or is that a slow play? That's the
sexy play. Is what it is.
Anymore.
You haven't even played Magic with me yet. I play Snoop in my deck. I just also play other things.
Like I was playing with Mab from the Ramp Game crew, and she was playing Helios, and she turn 1 a Thorn of Amethyst in the first game when she went first, and then I went after and couldn't turn to a win. And then the next game, she went 3rd and I went 4th, and she turned 1 an Archon of Amelia, and I couldn't win.
Oh my god, is it getting hot in here or something? Damn.
Oh my goodness. Anytime anyone mentions Archon of Amelia, it just like heats up.
Anytime anyone mentions stacks, I heat up.
No. Just Archon of Amelia for me.
Oh, and by the way, because Sean tweeted me this like sarcastically, but I'm sure that I'm gonna start to see this. Stacks isn't dead because of that black-green board wipe.
Oh no, it's not dead because of the Blackwing War rap. I was being hyperbolic.
Well, because you said that, and then I started thinking about it, and then when I think, things get bad, and I started getting scared, and I was messaging him in Discord, like, all of these things, like, it's not that good, I have all these ways to recover, less, like, reassuring him, and more reassuring myself, because I know that Stax has been in a hard place for a while, as an archetype, just because the like turbo like Adnon strategies are so good that there's very little incentive to play like traditional hard stacks anymore because it's still too slow.
Yeah, I think the last time we had a good stacks deck in the format was the Ready Stacks back before we got partner commanders.
Damn right it was. You're damn right it was! You said the magic name! I didn't even get to play it back when it was good. That's the thing. I don't love Duretti out of like nostalgia. I didn't even play it when it was good, because I didn't play cEDH then. But I
was even playing Magic back then.
I welded in a Possessed Portal off of a Darksteel Citadel, and it felt really nice. Well, for me, that was like the wicked moment, because I remember when I played Duretti like kind of casually, before I got into cEDH, I wasn't even considering it a cEDH deck. Brea was my cEDH deck. I was just kind of fooling around with Duretti. I was like, oh, here's a big artifact that I can put in, and here's a big artifact. And I was going through like the 50-cent rare box at my store, and I found a Possessed Portal in that box, which I don't even think was ever a 50-cent rare, unless it is. And I was like, hey, I'll take this. And I put it in there, and I welded it in, and suddenly the game stopped until I beat everyone to death with Worm Coil tokens. And I was like, hey, that was kind of nice. And that was thus the Stax/Duretti main player was born.
Oh my god.
Excuse me, I'm having to look up what Possessed Portal is real quick.
I don't even know what it does. I assume it's something horrible.
It's so good. Read it when you find it. It's so good.
If a player would draw a card, that player skips that draw instead. At the end of each turn, each player sacrifices a permanent unless he or she discards a card from his or her hand.
Oh, that's evil. I love it.
Yeah, do you know what's hilarious? When you have a Duretti emblem out, you just laugh.
Oh, it's also 8 mana.
Yeah, it's also 8 fucking mana.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I love this card. It's great.
It's so.
Where can I get one?
That's the other card that, like, if you go into the Duretti Discord, 2 and a blue is the Possessed Portal guy. And I remember everyone was sad when I finally cut it out of my list, because, like, while it's, like, cute... Well, while it's, like, cute, any game where I didn't have Duretti's emblem out, it hurt me more than anyone else.
It also doesn't really stop Adnaz.
Well, not anymore.
I don't think it ever did.
It's too slow. Oh, I see. You mean like literally stops it? No, it doesn't stop Adnaz.
It doesn't stop Adnaz.
Stops Pier though. So there.
I think by the time Pure in the Abyss came out, Possessed Portal was long too bad for Duretti.
I cut Possessed Portal in like 2019. That card died a long time ago.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, as far as just to quickly comment on Stanks in general in the meta, I think Stanks is good. It's just you have to. It requires a lot of game knowledge on both yourself and the other people you're playing with, because it's one of the archetypes that not only do you have a chance to like just screw up your own game plan, but someone else could just screw up the game plan for the entire table and let someone else win by like bouncing the wrong piece at the wrong time or doing whatever the wrong time.
Stacks requires you to be able to build a puzzle with blank pieces and still somehow make a picture of like out of it at the end.
I really like the building the puzzle. You're not putting together to puzzle. You're building the puzzle for other people.
You're building the puzzle, and then but you also have to know what the picture looks like.
Yeah.
Because while they're trying to solve it, you have
if
to
anyone
know
messes
what
up
the
the
picture
puzzle,
looks
it explodes.
That's It's like it really is.
It's like, hi, I need you to defuse this bomb. You have to create a puzzle that you don't have any idea. You have to be blindfolded, and you have gloves put on that don't let you feel things. But you
and
have
also,
to put them together.
If your opponents don't solve the puzzle in like a meaningful amount of time, they'll want to stab you.
Yeah,
that's
but you won, so it's fine.
Yeah, but you won. You won.
Speaking of stacks, actually, I think that Snoop, which most people don't look at it this way, stacks up really good against some stacks pieces. Rule of Law looks really bad, but if you set up your pile and you play Snoop, and then the next turn you just draw your Torch Courier, you then have Kiki underneath of it, which means you can still just go off on that turn.
Oh yeah,
which it's
that's
weird
actually a really
because,
good point, because that's kind of the best stacks piece in our meta right now.
Like, you can't beat a Curse Totem, but you can beat, like, a Null God really easily, or you can beat a Rule of Law. But it requires you to untap with a Snoop in play, which is asking for a lot. Because
I find that, like, Kiki Snoop, or Kiki things in general, and Kiki Snoop as well, I find to be in stacks decks with red. It tends to be ones that people do run, because it is so, like, because it is a combo that just gets there, and you're fine to just like let it take a turn or two. It's fine to just let it take a turn and then get there, and then
in Duretti,
like, I win.
In decks like Duretti, where a lot of the good red creatures in our format are just incidentally goblins, like Dockside Extortionist. Did y'all know that's a goblin?
Oh my goodness.
So some of the like Snoop pieces, specifically the tutors, can also just sometimes find you a Dockside. Like I mean, this was before I ran the combo, but I've definitely Goblin Matron for a Dockside.
I'm sitting here with a Goblin Matron on my desk right now with.
Oh, I have a Snoop on my desk, actually. I just have a foil Snoop that's just been sitting here since, like, last year.
I have a Sliver Queen life counter that I used in our last game night.
Ooh. Is it one of the... Yeah.
I don't even remember where I got it from, but... Well, I got it from my LGS, but I don't remember, like, what product line it was from. If it was from something official or...
Or a side thing?
Or a side thing, yeah. I don't know.
So, before we talk specifically about the deck that you decided you want to talk about tonight, you kind of like main turbo ad nause deck, before we just kind of go over it in particular, is there anything else about Snoop before we move on?
I want to talk about, I forget the deck author, let me check that real quick. It's called Pinatana Double D.
I think I've heard of it before.
It is Ditto. It's Ditto Boop's deck. At least I think it's Ditto Boop because it's Ditto 8008, which I went to elementary school. I know what the calculator does. Which this was the deck that got me really into Snoop. Once I moved off of play the winning commander mechanics Blood Pod Hulk thing, which was a really cool idea, but
Blood Pod Hulk.
What?
I said Blood Pod Hulk. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna assume it didn't do the thing. It sounds
as good on paper as it is in play, which is probably not what you want to be doing. But it was like the first cEDH Minds building with Snoop.
Huh.
But Pinatana Double D is the deck I played a lot. It's why I'm probably notorious for hating Tana the Bloodsower, because...
Yeah, we mentioned that.
No fighting.
Oh god, I literally asked Sean before we started, before you joined the call, I said, please don't let me fight with Amie over Tana. Because for the record, I love Tana the Bloodsower, but I am I'm willing to admit that is just me, and I've seen the tweets that you've made about her, and you have some very fine points, and that is all I'm gonna say. Continue, please.
No, it's completely personal. I understand if you think. I
Well,
think she has good homes, like Blood Pot. I also think she has really bad homes, like Pet Cemetery and Tim the Tana Double D.
No,
But,
I played her in Blood Pot and loved her very much as just kind of an incremental value engine. But one of those good points you made was that the only reason she's like played is because she's the only Gruul partner, and that is a point I can't deny. But anyways,
But at least she's good enough to like see play, because what's the green white guy's name?
oh, is it Sidar Kondo?
Yeah, because like there's bad, and then there's too bad to even be a partner that had colors, and
Too bad.
that's Sidar.
What the hell does he even do? I have to
That's
Google.
counters. He's like a 4/4 that like gives things counters.
He's flanking.
Wait, really?
What the hell is this? Yes, he's a 2, a green, and a white for a 2/5 with flanking, and creatures your opponents control without flying or reach can't block creatures with power 2 or less. Oh, wait, just can't? Period?
That's hilarious.
That's not awful. It is pretty awful. I mean, I would be on brand for me to look at a terrible cEDH card or combo and be like, hey, I can make that work. But yeah, that is pretty bad.
It might just be that nobody wants to explain how flanking works,
What if
or admit that flanking never existed.
what if Edric had partner?
What if we
that's
didn't live
the-
our dreams?
That's the only. Wow, you sound like my parents. Anyway, that's the only universe I could ever see this being good, is if, like, Edric suddenly had partner, or there was a partner that added blue, at least, that had Edric's effect.
Man.
Well, if you're gonna give Edric partner, why not just play it with Timna?
Why not just play Leovold?
Oh. Well, no, we can't do that.
Free my boy Leo.
No, leave him
Free my
chained up.
boy.
I will see that card. I would like to see that card unbanned if and when there is a banned as commander list, because
Wheeling
while that,
cards away is just
while that
aggressive
card
stance.
is a perfectly fine hate bear, it never needs to be in the command zone again. No.
Wheeling cards is just aggressive stacks. It's perfectly fine.
I don't know about that. I don't know where that lies on the chart.
See, stacks is you don't want your opponents to play your cards.
That's like
Wheel them,
chaotic
you just
evil.
wheel them. You just don't. They just don't have cards. So really, it's the most superior form of stacks.
You're saying that, and I'm picturing like Charlie Day in that episode of Always Sunny where he's like, "Who is Pepe Sylvia?" and he's like pointing at like papers all over the walls, and he's like tearing his hair out. It's just aggressive stacks.
Oh, it's just...
It's aggressive stacks. All right, I think we need to wrap this up. We're gonna cut from here, and then we're gonna go over the deck that Amie brought for us to talk about. Amie, where can people find you on the social meds?
I have Twitter at Amie Jo Burton. Amie spelled AMIE, and Joe is just JO, and then BURTON for Burton. And then I think I have a link tree in my bio there if you want to like stalk my Instagram or listen to my Spotify playlist or watch my bad TikToks or my Moxfield profile. But mainly Twitter. I live on that
Moxfield
website.
profile.
Moxfield's
that's the one to
pretty
go
good.
look at.
Sean, where can people find you?
You can find me at Deathsinger Lee on Twitter. That is the main place where I post about Magic, occasionally politics, but honestly mostly Magic, especially with spoiler season these days. I have been talking all the time about, especially all the stuff that came out today. It's some wacky stuff. So go check me out. Go check me out on there.
You can find me at 2 in a Blue, where I offer people $5 and then immediately regret doing so.
Wait, what is this?
Oh, I tweeted something about prove to me why justify to me why Weather the Storm isn't a white card. And I actually got some really good responses, and I might owe some people some money. But you can also...
It's not a white card because it's way too good to be a white card. White doesn't deserve cards.
God, wow, that's so original. That's not like 5 fucking people replied.
True.
You can also follow the cast at SBS_cast, where we generally post updates for new episodes or things that we're doing. Until next time, I'm Josh.
I'm John.
And this has been another episode of Strange Brews.